Hello, this is Burke Lyle here, and welcome to Atlanta and Around the Majors baseball show today. So we're recording on October 31st during Game 3 of the World Series, which is about 3 hours away from starting. So it's been a good series so far. Phillies won Game 1, 6-5 in a one-run game. JT Realmuto hit that home run in extra innings, which, by the way, 5-0 lead, Justin Verlander pitching for Houston, and he lost that. And then not to mention Castellanos' sliding catch to make that all possible. And then Game 2, Framber Valdez pitches well, 7 good innings. It's a lot of ground ball out, so when he got into trouble, relied on the ground ball. 3-run first inning, just jumping all over Zach Wheeler, and then Alex Bregman's home run, and that made the difference there. So the Astros winning the second game, Phillies winning the first game, and if everything happens normally, like Justin Verlander, they just hold that 5-0 lead. Normally, you win that game, and with their bullpen, it's surprising the Astros lost that game. And then the next day, and then also that Castellanos sliding catch against usually not that good of a defensive right fielder. That changes everything, and now the series is 1-1, and that's how it all ends. And that's where we are right now. So let's just talk quickly about Game 1 and 2. So Game 1, Kyle Tucker, 2 home runs, and that's how it got to 5-0. That was one. He drove in 4 runs right there, a solo home run and a 2-run home run. Kyle Tucker looks really good, and then the 4th inning is when it all changed. 1 out, Rhys Hoskins gets that single, and then Bryce Harper, really Muto, it's a line drive, should have been caught. Verlander couldn't hang on to it, and that puts Hoskins at second, 2 outs. Harper gets a single, but Rhys Hoskins somehow couldn't score, and then Castellanos, line drive single, 5-1. Alec Bohm, 2-run double. All of a sudden, it's 5-3. In that next inning, that's when everything changes. So it's 5-3. Brandon Marsh hits a double. Schwarber walks, and then Realmuto ties the game for a 2-run double. And it's 5-5. And by the way, Justin Verlander really struggled early on. In that 4th inning, that changed everything. The struggles of Justin Verlander, that was really the difference. And then pretty much, creative managing, using Jose Alvarado to get out Kyle Tucker, or first Yordan Alvarez, then Kyle Tucker, became Zach Eflin's game. So just really good. I just say just creative managing. Ranger Suarez getting out Yordan Alvarez. And then later, Phillies also used Sir Anthony Dominguez as well, so they used more of their power relievers type. Alvarado, Eflin, Suarez, and then Dominguez. Dominguez gave them almost 2 innings, really had to work hard. And with all these relievers resting, ready to go, so Alvarado, Dominguez, Eflin, they could be used. Those are probably their 3 most reliable relievers, I would say, at this point in time. And then Houston, again, Abreu, Neris, Montero, Presley. And the losing pitcher was actually Luis Garcia, who was pitching for the first time in almost 2 weeks, pitched in that game against Seattle. Look, if Luis Garcia was on the Phillies, he'd be starting tonight. No question about it, he'd be their number 3 starter. But Houston, they got 4 starters, potentially better than they have 6, you could say, reliable starters. The Phillies have 2. Really, just 2. Maybe 3. Certainly not more than 3. So that's what happened in Game 1. In Realmuto, it's that go-ahead home run. That changes everything. Game 2 was a little bit, Game 2, Astros jump all over him. Jose Altuve, first pitch, hits a double. Jeremy Pena hits a double. Alvarez hits doubles, so back-to-back doubles, and all of a sudden it's 2-0 just like that. And then Gurriel scores on a low throwing error, so that's kind of the difference there. And Valdez, well, yeah, he kind of had to labor, had to work. I mean, he definitely had to work. There were base runners involved for sure, but I think one thing that Valdez did better than pretty much anything else is just getting out of jams. Oh, ground ball, runner on, use the ground ball, make the outs right there, and it was 5-0. And yeah, the Phillies scored on a sac fly, and Kyle Schwarber just missed a 2-run home run that would have made it 5-3, would have made a difference. And it was 5-2. Gurriel couldn't quite make that last play, but in terms of what happened, that's kind of the story in that game of how the team scored. It was 5-0 again, and Valdez was better than Verlander. Yeah, Valdez, well, yeah, he allowed base runners, 3 walks, 4 hits. I think what he had going for him was more the double play as opposed to striking out, and he did strike out 9. I mean, he had a really good performance, and again, you think about last year's World Series performance, struggled against the Braves last year, has been really good this playoffs. Since Valdez, if you think about that, started every game 2, was pitched well enough to help them beat the Mariners in that game 2. Huge against the Yankees in that game 2 as well. A couple weeks ago, and then this game as well when he needed to win this game. And by the way, Phillies had Zach Wheeler on the mound, which Zach Wheeler, which in terms of pitch count, 70 pitches through 5 innings, yeah, that's pretty sufficient. But gave up those runs, 5 runs, 4 earned runs, 3 walks. So again, and by the way, the Phillies did not use any of that A bullpen that we're talking about. So Houston finds a way. Or wins that game. By the way, Rafael Montero, give him credit for laboring through 2 hard innings, since the first one kind of got through fairly easily, got a couple outs in the 7th, and then really had to labor in the 8th. Ryan Presley got the save, which Rafael Montero, interesting story reading about in Wikipedia, they have references and stuff, former Mets starter, kind of coming up as a prospect, first grade education, found a way to become a baseball player, usually 16, 17, when guys get signed, really started training hard, signed I think when he was 20, 21, signed later, made it to the big leagues fairly quickly, kind of starter reliever, had Tommy John, which again, the worst injury a pitcher can have. And again, is essentially, you could say the Astros setup man. They don't really have a setup man yet, and Ryan Presley is their closer, so Astros bullpen has been really good. And it's been great throughout the playoffs. I mean, I don't think they're going to run. Well, the only run they gave up during the World Series was that Luis Garcia, but they pitched well after Verlander came out, kept the game tied, and then that game held the lead as well. So that's what happened there. And by the way, Presley did give up an earned run, or a run, but it was not earned. So again, 0 ERA for him, and that's what happened in that game 2. I mean, the Phillies had their. I mean, if you look at runners in scoring position, 0 for 7 for them, so that made the potential difference there. And by the way, let's take a look at the stats right now. So World Series stats, Altuve, 9 for 4. Yeah, kind of helped set that table. Got 3 hits in game 2. Really starting to get better. Jeremy Pena, well, yeah, he hit a double, drove in a run. Yeah, he's contributed as well at the plate. Bregman 8 for 2. Did hit that home run. Tucker has had 2 home runs in the series, hitting .375. So Altuve, Tucker could be the candidates for World Series MVP. Yordan Alvarez 1 for 7 in the series. That's a bit concerning. Did have that RBI double. Has walked twice. So I mean, his on base percentage is .333. Is getting on base at least some. Alvarez, I think, can be better. You know, he really helped the team huge against Seattle in games 1 and 2. Then has kind of struggled since, and you're hoping you can get him back in some sort of way. So that's kind of Houston right now. They're already in 246 as a team. Do have 3 home runs. Philly, Castellanos 2 for 9. Bohm 2 for 8. Harper 2 for 8 as well. Hoskins has yet to hit a home run. Neither Harper or Hoskins hit a home run. In fact, the only home run the Phillies hit so far in this series was from Realmuto, who 8 for 3, early candidate for World Series MVP, tied the game, then hit that go-ahead, then hit that home run in extra innings. Segura 1 for 8, Schwarber 7 for 2, almost hit a home run. Schwarber has walked twice, so really No one in the Phillies lineup really standing out. I guess who stands out more than anyone is Real Muto. I mean, everybody in that series. I mean, it's, you know what? Here's the thing about the Phillies that's kind of interesting is it seems like there's a lot of guys who have kind of 2 hits, so kind of hit per game, but nothing really else, I'd say. Real Muto really standing out more than anyone. I guess Bohm with that big RBI double and things like that, but that's what's going on here in this series in terms of pitchers. Valdez, great, really good, had a huge game. And Valdez, if there's a game 6, if he can pitch like he did in game 6 and win the series for Houston, he could be World Series MVP. He could be an early candidate for that. Verlander had a rough outing. And Verlander this playoffs, I mean, I talked about it. I said I wouldn't be shocked if Verlander had a rough inning. He had 2 bad innings after 3 really good innings. That changed everything. Verlander has not had a very good playoffs, to be honest. I mean, this has been going on all playoff. I mean, just struggle against the Mariners, kind of like against the Phillies. Yankees, I'd say pitched well, but definitely some rough moments in there as well. Rafael Montero, give him credit in 2 games, has given them, 2 2/3 innings, so 8 outs. Really working hard. Ryan Presley, 2 saves, doing his job, or not 2 saves, but 2 games, 2 outings, yet to allow an earned run. Brian Abreu gave them 5 outs in game 1. So that's who they've used. And then Stanek and Neris, they could have potentially a bigger role tonight. Since it's McCullers, I don't know how far he's going to go. I mean, he could give them 6 innings. I think he needs to work on efficiency. Last start against the Yankees a week ago, had to throw 100 pitches in 5 innings. So Phillies usage. So Zach Wheeler, not as, you know what's interesting? So combined ERA, looking at the numbers. So Nola went 4 1/3 innings. Again, gave up those home runs to Tucker, struggled through. Each of them have 5 combined walks, strikeout rates, just 8 combined strikeouts. 7.20 ERA for Wheeler, 10.38 for Nola. So Nola, Wheeler, it's 1-1. And neither one of them pitched that great. I mean, I thought if there's anyone who the Phillies want to use, it would be those 2. And going into the series, you're hoping that each one of them could pitch well. Neither one of them has, yet it's 1-1. And those are the Philly starters that have been by far the best for them, regular season-wise. Nola, Wheeler, those are your 2 best options by far. And Wheeler just had that rough first inning. Nola, another rough first inning for him as well. Just kind of struggling there, 2 starts. By the way, the next time they get the ball, Nola will pitch, I guess, 2 days from now in a game 5. And then Wheeler would pitch potentially in a game 6, depending on what the scenario is, whether it's trying to force a game 7 or win a championship for Philadelphia. Other relievers of Philly use, Anthony Dominguez, he got 5 outs. I would think you'd see him again tonight after not pitching in game 2 and then yesterday off. There are 3 games in a row, so that'll be an interesting factor there. Zach Eflin got 4 outs. Jose Alvarado, will you be creative again? Does he come in? And by the way, tonight, which is just completely different, by the way, Nola, Wheeler, they can go 7 innings plus. They can go deep into the game. And Noah Syndergaard was pitching tonight. What you think about Alvarado and being creative there, and then you think about the other guys that they use. Ranger Suarez will be starting tomorrow. David Robertson did manage to get a save, but Leslie Diaz grounded out with runners in scoring position. So you wonder if Syndergaard gives you, let's just say, 3 or 4 innings. Okay, who else do you use? I mean, Alvarado, do you call him on, when it's time for Alvarez and Tucker? Is that when you use him, whenever inning it might be, even if it is the middle innings? Probably so again. What about Zach Eflin? What about Anthony Dominguez? David Robertson, someone you could rely on well. No Ranger Suarez. I mean, do you need more out of Brad Hand? Potentially, he's kind of lost his role as kind of more of a reliever, maybe more now B reliever. I mean, how much are you need out of your bullpen? Plus, tomorrow night, Ranger Suarez, there's no knowing how deep he'll go as well. So again, the Phillies are going to use their bullpen a lot, which again, this is when it becomes advantage Houston. This is when it becomes advantage Houston now more than ever. Game 1-2, Wheeler Nola. Yeah, they can go up against Valdez and Verlander. Or Verlander, Valdez. This is different. Noah Syndergaard doesn't throw as hard. He's not that same pitcher that he was in New York. I mean, baseball savant. Pre-Tommy John, post-Tommy John. Very different type of pitcher. Now seems like has average fastball velocity instead of, he's lost 3 to 4 miles per hour on that fastball. His slider is no longer as hard as it once was. He's not the same pitcher that he was, say, in 2018, 2019. And he's faced a fair amount of injuries. I mean, I think the only 2 years he had a full healthy season. I mean, this year, and then I think 2016, 2019, something like that. He's had a lot of injuries, including Tommy John surgery, which basically had forced him out for 2 years. So Syndergaard, Suarez, Houston has McCullers, who I think can be better than he was last week against the Yankees. And then Javier. By the way, the Astros have 6 starters they could use. Luis Garcia and also Jose Urquidy, who Phillies, they could use both of them, really. They could use both of them right now. Certainly one. That's the difference if you want to compare. So this is when it becomes advantage Houston. Also bullpen, like the Astros. Like you look at their bullpen, like who they used in those 2 games for Houston. For the Astros, it just seems like it doesn't stop. Everybody is good. Everyone is reliable. They have a really good bullpen. And that's what you're counting on for the Astros, plus the lineup. So again, guys who can get themselves closer to World Series MVP consideration could be Jose Altuve. I'm looking for him to hit. Bregman, can he hit another home run, get more big hits? Is this the game that Yordan Alvarez breaks out? He's on a slump himself, like Altuve was. Can Kyle Tucker continue to hit for power in this game? That's a question I want to ask about their lineups for the Phillies. Who is going to step up? Because it seems like no one really has except for Real Muto in the series. Does Real Muto continue his surge? Does Bryce Harper have some World Series moments as well? Can the power return for Rhys Hoskins? That's a question we want to ask. Can Schwarber break out? Can the Phillies hit home runs? Just 1 home run in 2 games. If that's a full season, then you'd end up hitting a total of 80 home runs. So again, Phillies just 1 home run in this series so far. So Houston, other than that Real Muto home run in extra innings, there's not been a single home run for the Phillies outside of that. So you're wondering what ends up happening. So again, I've said this all along, it's advantage Houston for the next 3 nights. I think the Astros in this series, I think they win 2 out of 3. I think that with a potential 2 clinch with Verlander, can Verlander potentially win in the series on Wednesday night? Does it go back to Houston? Look, I'm going to say the Astros win 3 out of the next 4 games and will be World Series champions. That's my prediction. That's what I think is going to happen in the series. So that is everything for now. All I can think about is the World Series in Philadelphia. Just, again, we're going to have anywhere from 3 to 5 more baseball games this year. So this is Burke Lyle with Atlanta and Around the Majors Baseball Show.